Welcome to the Dark Nook Monster Shop. I decided to make a Halloween pumpkin monster in order to use the foam eyes that I didn't end up using for my pink furry monster book video. First thing I have to do is mark out the location of these eyes, and then cut away the vinyl skin and pick away the styrofoam to make room for the eyes. It's pretty simple. It's also very messy, so if you have a shop vac or even a little dustbuster, now's a good time to have those handy. Once that's done, I repeat the same process for the mouth. Draw, cut, peel, pick. I want a big mouth full of teeth, so I need to remove a lot of styrofoam. And again, big mess. To keep more of the foam from shedding off throughout the process, I hit it with a heat gun and melt the foam slightly. This solidifies it, makes it easier to paint and stick clay to. Then I glue the eyes in place with hot glue. Now it's time to get started sculpting the teeth out of foam clay. These are big and chunky, so there's not a lot of detail. Just a basic tooth shape and some little cracks and lines. Once that's done, I set them aside to dry. Now I can tell by looking at this foam clay in its bag that it's very wet. See how it sticks to the inside of the bag and not to itself? This is going to be very sticky and it's going to seem unusable, but it's not. I want to show you the process to make this clay work, and that's going to take about 2 minutes. So if you want to skip ahead 2 minutes, feel free. All this clay needs to be usable and workable is to dry out slightly. So all you need to do is work it a little, roll it around in your fingers. Right now it's like trying to sculpt with cake icing, but just give it a minute. It can be very easy to get discouraged when trying out some new material and discovering it doesn't behave the way you expect it to. But a big part of any artist's skill set is learning how materials behave, and then figuring out ways to use those tendencies to best suit your project. Foam clay can seem useless at first, and many assume when they get a batch like this that it's just a bad batch. This couldn't possibly be how it's supposed to work. But I've found it to be one of the most versatile materials you're going to find, if you just give it a chance to pull itself together. All I'm doing here is rolling the clay around a bit and giving the excess moisture a chance to evaporate off. As this happens, you'll notice bits of clay start to want to stick to other bits of clay more than they want to stick to your fingers. It's almost ready at this point, and I start to gather up any remaining bits stuck to my fingers by just rolling the clay around and sticking it to the other clay. It's similar to my method for making wood glue putty for teeth. After a few minutes, the wet, goopy mess is now a reasonable, workable ball of foam clay ready to use on your project. Now this foam clay is still very soft and sticky, so I use it to fill the gaps around the eyes. Then I paint the inside of the mouth with black acrylic paint and Mod Podge mixed together. In the first sculpting pass, I roughed out the nose and some of the brow, but I forgot to hit record, so I missed some of that sculpting. Also, notice how easy that green clay slides right out of its wrapper? That's because it was just a little drier. It's been in the package a little longer, so now it's not nearly as sticky. So I repeat the same basic sculpting process over and over again, laying down clay globs and shaping them with the texture stamp. I do this over and over, but I make a point of retaining the grooves and shape of the original pumpkin. Again, see how clean the clay comes out of its bag when it's not overly wet? The high level of moisture is just so it'll last longer on the shelf without drying out. I repeat the same process, build up the shape, refine it with texture stamps, smooth it with water. I don't want the brow to be scowly or mean looking, but I also don't want to cover too much of the eyes with a smiley squint. So he just ends up kind of looking creepy and soulless with a 1,000-yard stare. I shape and blend with water to get a nice pumpkin texture. And then I realize I need more teeth. So I make more teeth. Then back to building up and shaping the pumpkin face. Once the face is mostly done, I start on the gums and teeth. This part is super easy. I just glob in some clay for gums and stick the pre-made teeth into it, then position them until I like how they look and smooth them with water and Mod Podge. Repeat the process for the upper teeth. If you like my videos, please hit like and subscribe, and if you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below. Thanks for checking out my video. When the teeth are done and dry, I add the last layer of clay to the face to build up the mouth and lips and cheek, but I decided I want it to look like the mouth is the result of the pumpkin breaking open. I start thinking of this more as a body horror pumpkin, like its face is breaking out of the inside of the pumpkin, like the pumpkin is cracking and breaking apart from the pressure as the face pushes its way out. That's why it's bug-eyed. So, I maintain the shape of the original pumpkin grooves, but I sculpt exaggerated broken ends instead of lips. I do the same around the eyes, like they're bulging and pushing their way through the surface of the pumpkin, cracking the surface into pieces as they go. Then I shape them with stamps and smooth them with water, just like the other bits. When I'm happy with the shape, I coat the whole thing in Mod Podge and let it dry. And now it's time for paint. The paint on this one was super simple. A black base and then orange dry brushes from dark orange to lighter, more yellowy orange. Then I paint the gums pink, and I outline the eyes and some of the cracks in pink as well. When that's done, it's on to the teeth, which I paint bone white with a little brown mixed in. And then I paint a brown wash over the top of that. Lastly, I paint around the eyes and all the cracks in the surface of the pumpkin with a blood red color mixed with gloss Mod Podge for that great wet bloody look. And that's our bug-eyed bloody body horror pumpkin all done. On to the beauty shots. If you liked this video, you might also like one of these videos, or you could subscribe by clicking on my face. Thanks for checking out my video.